How tired are you?
Like on a scale of 1 to 10?
Mm-hmm.
Like an 8?
Oh, 10 being tired.
Yeah.
I see.
How tired are you?
I'm up there. I'm up there as well. Maybe like an 8 or 9. I don't know why. I was fine yesterday and the day before.
I know it's a sneaker. It's a sneak attack.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
So y'all, we just got back from California. It's warmer here actually, which is
Yeah, it
great.
is.
But we just got back from a conference through Keller Williams called Family Reunion in Anaheim, California. It was a journey to get back, but we made it. So we're here and we're excited to share some takeaways with you guys.
To be clear, Meg got back the day after she was supposed to.
It's fine. We had a great extra day.
It was worth it. Oh my gosh. Can we post the pictures for them of us dressed up like the 80s?
Yes.
Y'all, the awards banquet for the Carolinas region this year had an 80s theme. They really did a great job. I need to write them an email and tell them.
It was fantastic. There were a lot of wigs involved, a lot of great people in costume. So
a lot of neon.
Yeah, it was. So MC, I know we do kind of a family reunion recap every year, but for new folks who might be joining us, will you explain what this conference is, why we go to it, and then lead us into?
Yeah. So this conference, basically, the location of it varies every year. It's always in February, and it's about 20,000. I think that's right. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I think it's like 20,000 Keller Williams agents from all around the country, actually all around the world.
Yeah.
And they get together, and there are keynote speakers, and then Gary Keller delivers a message, which if you don't know who Gary Keller is, he's the guy who started Keller Williams, and he's just a really great real estate mind. Mm-hmm. He does all these projections about what's going to happen with the market, the national market, and it's just really good. And then there are all these breakout sessions that you can go to where you can go and learn about specific topics that you want to learn about. So it was really fun. It was great. And our very own Liz Waine did an amazing presentation at the event.
We're not surprised, but it was really awesome. Mary Cheatham also presented and did fantastic as usual. It was kind. I learned so much. I learned from you and Liz, and I work next to you guys every day. So it
was fun. It was really good. So what we thought we might do today is we thought we'd focus on the 3 speakers that we heard and just give you some little tips and things that we learned from each of the 3 speakers. We actually have already met with, we had 9 of us, 9 women who went to family reunion, and we had a house with 3 bathrooms. We had 5 bedrooms, but 3 bathrooms. And it actually was okay.
It did. I think everyone was just like in and out. We were good. We never had a traffic jam or anything.
It's great. Nobody can call us divas. No,
it's true.
No. Okay. So Meg, let's start with the first speaker.
Okay. So the first speaker that we heard, her name was still is Molly Fletcher. And she is a sports agent for a lot of professional athletes, well-known coaches. She was such a good speaker.
She was great, you guys. You've got to look her up and follow her. Yeah, I know. Molly Fletcher.
Yep. She has a great podcast called, I think it's The Game Changers or Game Changers, something like that, where she interviews different athletes, she just talks about people who are game changers in their field, and just her delivery, I don't know, it was really, really great. But the whole premise of what she shared was from her findings of being in athletics for so long. And she said the athletes and the coaches and the people around her that succeed most often are the ones who recover from adversity the quickest.
Yeah.
I thought that was so good.
I thought it was so good. And it also reminded me of Ted Lasso. Remember how he says, be a goldfish? Right?
Is that what that means?
Yeah. What he's saying is like, you're going to make mistakes and things are going to happen and things aren't going to go your way, but be a goldfish and don't remember it.
I see.
I mean, and I would say the thing that I know we try to teach our kids is, what can you learn from it? Figure that out. So you kind of just sit with it for a minute. It's painful, but what can you learn from it? Is there anything you can do to fix it? Right. Is there any action you can take to make it better? But then you have to recover from it.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah.
Quickly. So I love that. Recovering from adversity quickly is what she says is the key characteristic to people who are at the top of their field, whatever that may be. People who are top performers, people who are living their best life. Yeah. It's people who can recover from adversity fastest.
And I think the key there that you mentioned this morning early when we got here is that doesn't mean adversity is not going to happen. So I think people a lot of times are like, oh, my life is great if there's no adversity, but that's not going to happen. So it's, we hear this all the time. It's how you respond when something negative happens to you is kind of the true test of your character. And she's saying that same exact thing. It's how you recover from adversity.
Yeah. I love that.
I do too.
And then she also, one thing that I think we all take as adversity really often is change, because things change all the time. Heavens knows. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like things have changed so much recently. There's changes in the air.
Yeah.
And so tell them what she said about change. She said that change is a strategy.
What? She said, change is a strategy, not a threat. I just felt like I was like in college.
Oh my God.
And they're like, Megan,
You're
what's the
having an
answer?
exam that you didn't study for.
I'm like, oh my God.
You're having a nightmare.
But I did like that. And that was one of Liz's big takeaways that she kept saying. But we know that, throughout the course of a year, whether it's professionally or in your personal life, change is bound to happen.
Yeah.
Whether it's positive or an opportunity, as you
Right.
would
It's
say.
all in the way you perceive it.
It is. It
Change
is.
is a strategy, not a threat. Yeah, that was great.
Me too. So she was great. And our next speaker was very energetic and
Oh my gosh.
really kept us on the edge of our seat the whole time. Will you tell us about him?
Yeah, it's Ed Milet. So I don't know if you guys, Ed Milet has his own, I think it's a huge podcast. You guys probably listen to it. I don't typically listen to Ed Milet's podcast. I've heard him on other people's podcasts and heard him say some really interesting stuff. And I've really enjoyed him from that perspective. And it was a very high level of intensity.
It was.
And I heard a lot of people say that he was the best speaker they'd ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll make sure we post about how you can follow Molly Fletcher and how you can follow Ed Milet. But Ed Milet, tell them the big Ed Milet takeaway.
Yeah. He pretty much was giving so many real life examples from his family and celebrities he's worked with and his 6 private jets. It tickled me. It was so good. But he was pretty much saying on the other side of pain is another version of you. So he walked us through his whole life story and how he started with, living in an apartment with no running water and having to shower at his apartment pool and all of this stuff to where he is today based on, becoming a different person based on the pain he's gone through. So I thought that was a really good one.
I thought it was a really good one too. And it's like something that I know what we say sometimes is, who are you becoming through this process? That's something that Jordan said to me. Our coach has said to me a bunch of times is, this is hard, but think about who you're becoming through the process. It's not just about getting to the outcome that you want. It's also that you change fundamentally as you're going through the process to get there.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
It really is. It really is. And that reminds me of the keynote speaker we had last year. I forgot his name, but it was the happiness guy. I can't think of his name right now.
But I loved him.
Me too. But he was talking about happiness is the means, not just the end. So it's the whole journey to get there. And I think that's Ed's whole thing. It's like when you're in a moment of pain or hard times or difficulty, like remembering that you're growing all throughout that is what I think makes that worth it and creates a new you on the other side.
Yeah.
You're not going to get out of it by just waiting. You're going to work on yourself and, change things here and there to adjust, and then out pops a new you.
There you go. It's that simple, you guys. It's
right?
that simple.
Right. Now, MC.
Yeah.
You had a special viewing of this person and I'm very jealous because I love him. I think he's fantastic. You got to hear Ryan Holiday speak.
Yes.
He tells
Ryan Holiday. If you guys don't follow Ryan Holiday, you definitely should. He's just this really brilliant thinker. And what he does that's interesting is he is an expert in stoicism. So like Marcus Aurelius. And I mean, there are all these examples of folks who there are actually some more recent leaders as well, but folks who have exemplified stoicism, which what I felt like he was saying is it's not that you don't want to feel emotion at all. It's just that you remove some of the emotion that we get really worked up. And so I thought that was a really cool thing. The concept itself is really neat.
And he has a great book called The Daily Stoic, and it's 1 page a day. I have it on my nightstand, but he kind of walks you through how to practice stoicism on your own through your everyday life.
And there's an email.
Yes.
And there's a podcast. I know. And look, and I have these are some of his books that I have.
Yeah.
Stillness is the key, and courage is calling, and ego is the enemy.
It's so good.
How about that one?
That's really interesting because whenever you think of stoicism or Ryan Holiday's work, initially before I even dug into it, I was like, oh, he means just like knock emotions out of everything. And that's not at all what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So what he says, here's what he says. I thought this was a great quote because I've struggled with this a little bit. He says, stoicism is not being emotionless, but having less emotion about things we don't control.
That's so good. I just got chills. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, so, it's a little bit of detachment.
Okay.
And he said the biggest issue for folks today is a lack of reflection. So, we overschedule ourselves and we run through our day and we don't have any time, white space, which we talk about all the time, don't have any time to think about things and to reflect and then to come back at it, having actually integrated the experiences that you had the day before or the week before so that it changes you, right? Instead, everything's kind of surface level. And if you don't reflect on it, it doesn't change anything.
And it makes time, like you don't remember things.
Right.
It makes time kind of fly by, and you look back and you're like, well, what happened during
Right.
that period if you don't have that white space or reflection time?
That's exactly right. That's right. So I just have a few of my notes right here that I want to share with you guys. So there were three things that he said, as far as, three kind of processes, to turn obstacles into advantages, 3 ways to practice being a stoic, essentially.
Cool.
And again, there's a stoic with a capital S, which is stoicism, which is a way of thinking. And then there is someone who is stoic with a lowercase s, where we're like, oh, they don't show any emotion. That's where we get confused, because stoicism, they're kind of 2 different types. They're related.
Yeah.
But he is studying ancient concept of stoicism, and a capital S, and how to apply it.
Cool.
So he says the first discipline that you need to think about, there are 3 of them. So it's perception, action, and will. So just to start with perception, to me, perception is the biggest one. So, just basically that it's not the things that happen that upset us. It's our perception of what's happened that upsets us.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we can focus on only what we can control, then that's actually very small. And then beyond that, we can let go of it.
Okay.
And he said, we don't control what happens. We control how we respond. So our perception and our response. And so what's really interesting is what he said is, you become overly responsive and overly attached to the outcome when you wake up and dive right into your day. We hear this all the time about, like, don't pick up your phone. I don't know that I can ever be that person. I want to so bad. But what he said that he does is no phones in the morning. He goes for a walk with his kids who are little. He thinks about who he wants to be that day. He journals. So basically it's taking that time to reflect and to get to calibrate yourself, to get yourself, whatever that looks like for you, y'all. I mean, I realize, we're not all going to be Ryan Holiday and have this elaborate morning routine, but taking some time to get centered in the morning so that way you're more able to respond, first of all, to perceive things the way that you need to, and then to respond the way that you need to.
Whenever you just said that, I kind of pictured a cup, and like, it's my cup of cortisol. So whenever you wake up, your cup is like, it's halfway full or halfway empty, however you want to look at it. And if you're spending your time, like Ryan Holiday talks about, in the morning, you're lowering your cortisol in that cup. But if you're not, if you're going right into work or diving in, the next reaction that you have, it's going to cause you to overflow.
Yeah.
So I think that's really smart to calibrate your brain in the morning.
That's
so you
a really good one.
You have more room for reactions throughout the day before
That's
you
exactly
overflow.
Right. And listen, for those of you who can implement this one, I love you guys. I wish I were you. This one is, he said, one of the points he made in that was that he said he waits and gets into his email in the afternoon. It sounds pretty delightful. He said email is like a to-do list put together by other people.
That's interesting.
What?
Good one.
I thought that was so good. Someday.
So that's perception.
That's perception.
Okay.
The second one is the discipline of action, which he just said lots of times we know what we need to do and we don't. We just wait. He talks about momentum. He talked about doing the hard things first, which we talk about.
Yeah.
So just that when you know what you need to do, you just need to go ahead and get up and take on those hard things first. If you win the morning, then you have the rest of the day to have white space, to respond to things, to have great ideas, to pursue relationships, to do all the things that matter.
That's
so
good.
I love that one. That is the discipline of action. And then the last one is the discipline of will, which just is really all about endurance. And he just said, I thought it was interesting. He said, we decide when we give up.
Oh, interesting.
I know. And then he also said, as far as your will is concerned, he said, you don't get help that you don't ask for.
That's a hard one, because you want to be able to do it all.
Right.
Not ask for help.
But if you have the will to finish something and you're willing to ask for help, and work with other people, then you can get it done. So
That's
I just
good.
Yeah.
Perception, action, will.
Yep. So and to me, the perception one, because you have to, it's not just that you can force yourself to have that perception. You have to set yourself up to put yourself in the right brain space to be able to perceive things the way that you need to.
That's
with
really
less
good.
Emotion attached to the outcome.
That's really good. I feel like I just learned a lot.
I mean, I thought it was really, really great. Okay, so y'all, we're going to actually put the information for Molly Fletcher, Ed Milet, and Ryan Holiday. We'll put that in the comments underneath here so y'all can check them out. I would just follow them all. I mean,
they're great.
Really good. Yep. Really, really cool. Yeah. Oh, y'all, the last thing about Ryan Holiday, I thought this was so cool. Y'all know I love a bookstore. I mean, love a bookstore. And so he opened a small independent bookstore he lives in Austin, Texas. And so he opened a bookstore in Bastrop, I think is the name of it. I never heard of it. Texas during COVID. So he started it before COVID, but he went through with it. one of the things I thought was so mind-boggling is he said most small bookstores have about 10,000 titles, and his bookstore has 750 titles, and it's just his favorite books and his wife's favorite books. They opened it together.
That's
So when you
so
go in there, they've
cool.
actually read every book in there and they hand selected it. So when you go in there, I guess, in other words, you wouldn't go in there to pick up a copy of whatever it was that you just read
Right.
about in Newsweek. You go in there because you value the fact that these are some really big thinkers and they've gone through and hand selected these books.
That is so interesting. There's a handful of people in my head right now. I'm like, oh, I wish they'd open a store of their favorite things.
Right?
Like, what if you were like, oh, here are all my favorite local items, just curated
Oh
here.
my God.
Like,
I
I'd
mean,
shop
it'd
there.
be so fun.
That's good.
It'd be
What
so
a smart
fun.
idea.
Okay. Anyway, thought that was really cool.
So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
instead or in lieu of what's saving our lives right now, I guess this is all saving our lives right now.
I think it is what we learned is saving our lives.
Yeah.
Lord knows. I feel like we risked our lives getting out there that we would never get home.
Y'all, we booked it to the plane. Mary Cheatham made it because she's fast and swift. We did not make it behind her, but you know,
it was awful. And
it was
they
a
would
character
not let me,
builder.
they promised me that they would stand and watch for them, but said they would remove me from the flight if I didn't stop being sassy and get on there. I
love
was
that.
just begging them to
You had
wait.
our backs. You had our backs.
Oh, it was awful.
But I'm just curious if you want to share a couple little tiny tidbits to leave folks with that you know, we took from family reunion that might not have been a part of these keynote speakers as a what's saving our lives.
Yeah, I think mine is going to go with the action piece, which is, and Meg, I know you love this one. I think you actually told me about this one, so I'm stealing yours, but it's in my brain.
Okay.
Which is that if there's something that you want to do or something you want to pursue, you need to take action within 24 hours or you won't do it.
It's a good
So
one.
even if it's just sending an email to say, hey, I'm interested in this, or signing up for a class, or, you know, having that conversation you need to have, whatever it is, you need to do it within 24 hours or the likelihood of you following through with it greatly diminishes.
That's such a good one.
Yeah.
Wow. Mic drop.
Yeah.
There's so many things I need to start doing now then.
I mean, really.
So I have two. One is like I don't remember who said it, but they said sometimes when you feel like you're failing, you're actually just slowly succeeding. And it's not an immediate, you know, great job or an immediate response, I guess, to your project. So one thing that you can do to help your brain kind of stay motivated, I guess, through that is at the end of the day, you ask yourself two questions. One is, what did I do well? One thing you did well today, and then one thing you learned today. So, you know, I don't do it anymore, but I did something in my monthly calendar in my planner where I wrote down one thing I was grateful for at the end of each day. And I feel like this can be implemented into that too. Like on each little square of your monthly calendar in your planner that nobody uses, it's the week ones that we use. You write, you know, one thing you learned that day and one thing you did really well. So I think that's a cool thing. Then at the end of the month, you look back and you're like, wait, I did accomplish something.
Yeah. That's really good.
Oh, wow. I hope you guys can hear this.
Spoiler alert, Walter's shower is leaking into the hall because this needed to happen this week. Walter's shower is leaking into the hall on the way to our bathroom. And so they are currently cutting holes. Thank you guys for coming so early.
I know.
They're currently cutting holes.
It's fine. It's fine. I think we have a microphone that might cut it out. So we're
Okay.
good.
Well, if you can't hear it, great.
Y'all, thank you. And thank you for including us in this fun trip and for recapping this with me.
It was great. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much.